Hi, everyone. Let me introduce you to Nicole, who's my guest today, and she's the owner of Nurture North. So, Nicole, would you like to tell us what you do?
Yeah, definitely. So, as the owner of Nurture North, I'm located in Terrace, but I'm serving the entire Northwest. So, people are welcome from all the surrounding communities, and I'm providing a range of offerings, but mostly under the title of registered massage therapy. And then I also work as a doula in our hospital here at Kasen.
That is so cool. What inspired you to become a doula and a massage therapist as well?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, becoming a massage therapist was less of an inspirational thing and more of just I'm a recovering people pleaser, and being a massage therapist is like a very thankful job. And yeah, filled my needs for a long time. The inspiration part really has come in over the last 3 years since starting my own business and getting to kind of identify my values in that. So, my biggest values are honoring feminism and reproductive justice. So, Nurture North is really founded in that. Yeah, once you've witnessed birth, supported it, gone through it yourself, if you've had any kind of gynecological surgeries or abdominal surgeries, anything where you've interacted with like the women's health umbrella, um, you really become acutely aware that there is a lack in the support. So, yeah, my own experiences, I've had two medical DNCs. So that's brought up a lot for me where thank God for the activists, the researchers. Shout out to Madeline, UBC researcher, and also the OBGYNs that support our community so that women can have a choice. So yeah, that's like the inspiration and the lens of Nurture North at the ground level. And yeah, so my RMT business is now just treating pregnant postpartum women, women who've had abdominal surgeries. Yeah, anything to kind of try to meet the needs where our medical system is kind of falling short. So it's some big shoes to fill, but I'm yeah really passionate about it, and I love that there's a need.
Mhm.
So that's the basis of my inspiration to become a massage therapist, and then now create Nurture North. And my inspiration for becoming a doula, that actually has been kind of my entire life in the making. Uh, yeah, I grew up watching A Birth Story, which is a TLC reality TV following families from kind of the last few weeks of pregnancy, their birth, and then into the first few weeks of postpartum. And I would watch that with my ama and was glued to it, like really, really loved it, loved pregnant bellies, loved everything about that. So yeah, so quite young, like
How old are you? How old were you when you started watching it? Like
well, so it
nine,
ran through
10?
the 1990s and the
Yeah.
2000s. So I would say that I was probably five when I
Okay,
was
still tiny, not even 10. Yeah, you were like still like okay,
so little, so
so
little.
cool.
Yeah. And um, yeah, so that was kind of like my childhood being obsessed with birth.
Hmm.
And then I became more of an activist when I became 18. And I was just like working at a heli ski lodge, and, week on, week off, my extra time there, I would join like a creative writing course at like the Kootenai Mountain College. And my first like big paper was actually on breastfeeding in public and how we need to support that. And at the time, this was like 2010, there was like full on rallies going on in the States, like specifically like Idaho, North Dakota. There was like a few others that did not have any, federal law to support public breastfeeding.
Hmm.
And so I was witnessing all these kind of like feminist rallies going on in America. And I was like, wait a second, it was only like 1989 that the Canadian Constitution said that you could breastfeed in public in here. So like, it's all like within the last 40 years that these rights for women have been coming out. So yeah, so there was like a period of my time through my like later teens as well, where I was like active, wanting to support women and the experience of motherhood. Yeah. And so then kind of fast forward to my Amma, who I watched the birth story with all the time. She passed away from COVID, actually. So, and during that time, I was like, I need to become a midwife. My Amma was a midwife in Iceland.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
She's from Iceland. Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. She immigrated here.
Oh.
Yeah. She'd been a midwife in Iceland for years and years. Couldn't, unfortunately, practice in Canada. But that just like felt in my lineage, and it felt like something I wanted to honor her. So I'd started my application for the midwifery program, and then realized that I was going to have to live in another province or Vancouver. And at that point, I was established in Terrace and was like, I can't be leaving. I love this place too much. So that actually led to me taking the doula program.
Yeah.
So it was kind of out of inspiration from my Amma to really like step into that schooling. It was 6 months intensive. And yeah, I came out on the other side of that with like an entirely new view on the world and the intensity of birth. And also, again, you know, kind of where there's lacking support in the system. So, and that I could potentially, if, you know, families invite me in, I can be that person with them to kind of fill in these gaps in healthcare. So, but the definition of a doula isn't someone providing healthcare. It's that you're actually just informational support, emotional support, physical support, the medical lens we leave to you.
And that was my next question was, what is a doula? Because I think some of the viewers maybe don't know what a doula is, or I feel like even me working with parents and families through the hospital and the community, there's sometimes a misunderstanding of a doula. They either think that's a midwife, or they actually think it's somebody who delivers the baby, or they think, they think all kinds of things. So can you clarify what a doula is and what kind of jobs? I think you kind of listed up the emotional, physical, and some other supports, but can you say what a doula is, either like what is it, and then maybe a life of a doula, maybe just run through like a shorter scenario, what you would do at a birth?
Totally. So it's really person to person dependent. That's something that I became very aware of when I first finished school. I thought it was like, okay, we just hand them this contract and this is the contract and we'll negotiate a bit, but this will be what it is. And now my experience doing it since 2022, I'm like, every contract's different. Every family's different in what they need. And then also as a doula, you can continue to take education and courses. So then my toolbox of what I can offer has gotten bigger. That's but so cool. Yeah, like a really basic doula package would look like 3 prenatal visits, usually timing those within their other women's wellness appointments. So say, their doctor's appointment was really quick. They didn't get all their questions out, or maybe they were given some information that they didn't really understand. Within the same week, I'll show up and we'll talk through what's going on in their appointments. How do they feel about it? Do they need support with that? Can I give them more resources, books to read? Yeah, it's all, just like supporting on that end. By the later weeks of pregnancy, this is when we typically see like setting up labor circuits at home. So coming over and like making sure there's like a birthing ball, and maybe some peanut balls and a rebozo and different tools I can implement within their home, because my goal is always like, how can we keep this person at home for as long as possible, laboring in the comfort of that space? So that's always our goal, because the research really says the longer you're at home, the less intervention, And I will say that like the majority of the clients that are hiring me are looking for minimal intervention.
Yes.
So that's also usually within a pretty basic package, is that that's what they're hoping for.
Yeah.
So after those like multiple prenatal appointments, when the labor kicks off, I'll usually come to the house. And this is where things between my massage and my doula practice start to blend, because I usually bring my pregnancy massage table. And, you know, if they're having problems relaxing, I work into like relaxing the tissues, relaxing them in their space, like letting them just sleep for a little bit with like hands-on treatment. And, you know, if labor's like really kicking off, then, you know, we're doing more manual, intense, like hands-on stuff. I'm usually like trading off with the husband or partner, family member, whoever's supporting them at home. So that person might be able to sleep at night while I'm up with the birthing person. Yeah, we'll just do kind of trade-offs until it's time to go to the hospital. And then unfortunately there is no home births in Terrace or Rupert or Kitimat. I'm unsure about Smithers, but we're in that kind of like a weird time right now where there's just like lack of support. So home births are not a thing here, which I found is really unfortunate, because when you look at like the BC midwives requirements, they're supposed to offer home birth. But I know our local midwives, they're wonderful people, but they don't have the time and space to make it a safe practice for everybody. So hopefully 2026 we'll get some more midwives, and that'll be a practice we see. But yeah, for now we're birthing at the hospital. And yeah, so that can be anywhere. I think the shortest labor I've attended at the hospital was like 4 hours. That was like fast, smooth, you know, but I mentally and physically prepare for like 30 hours. Always. And I recommend my clients do too, because they can
stuff for you.
Yeah, totally. So and then always a beautiful birth. And we wrap it up. I always love to go and get the family, their first meal. So whatever they'd like, whatever they're craving, anytime, I'll go and do that, come back, check in about breastfeeding, check in about like how they're feeling, and then usually go home and sleep myself. and then and usually it's just 1 or 2 postpartum visits at home would kind of like cap the end. And that's usually a lot of like emotional support. You know, I might be setting up like a sitz bath for them, or a vaginal steam stool set up with herbs. Some food. And then as well, breastfeeding support. So that's always something that ends up coming into the picture as well. So
that's so cool. It's such a wide sets of skills you need to have, or like you obtain as you go. Now you mentioned about the postpartum, you go visit, but you don't offer. So there's even within doulas, there's different doulas. How many types of doulas there?
Oh yeah. So there's a fertility doula. So that's someone who's like specifically trained to support people going through like IVF. Then there's loss and abortion doulas. So that's somebody that's going to support you through grief, that period, connect you with professionals, and just like be there for you. And then we also have death doulas. So and that's like, again, just support through the final stages of life, similar like to a birth doula. A death doula is like, caring for the dying person, but you're also navigating this whole family dynamic.
That's what usually is.
It's so that's a really beautiful one.
That's awesome. That's so cool. And then with the postpartum doulas, some doulas will only offer to be postpartum, or no, most of the time they will do the whole birth, and then an extra package they will offer like 6 weeks of postpartum they do some housework and other things as well when they offer postpartum.
Totally. The program that I did was called Triple Stream, and so I was I also got certified to be a postpartum doula. That one is like, the typical contract is an hourly wage. So it got a little bit more complicated for me. So I kind of was like, that maybe isn't where I fit, but
and you always have to follow your own passion and whatever. So I feel like that birth and how the female body's changing, you know, obviously that's something that you go through the changes, and
Yeah.
experience the birth. Yeah.
And I'm not a good cook. So
I always
that's
joke
like
about that.
that's a big part of being a postpartum doula. You gotta be.
I know, because you're cooking and then you like to be tidy and stuff. I'm like, oh God, yeah.
Oh,
God
God bless those women.
I
Oh
know.
my God.
That's so cool. It's always like a very mothering role. I feel like even any doula's role is very mothering, but the postpartum is like very in your home, having, grandma's coming and just like taking over. It's so sweet though.
It's so sweet. I know.
That's amazing. Is that why it's beneficial for someone to hire a doula?
I would say my experience is almost the witnessing piece, like to have someone completely dedicated to your experience. And as we all know, like a lot of birth comes with trauma.
Yes.
And so to have someone there who's like, yes, I saw that happen. Yes, that was real. You're not going crazy. It's another person that can support, because spousal trauma happens. If the mother's gone through trauma, the spouse has gone through trauma as well. So just being a witness to the entire experience, I think brings everyone into such a grounded space. Knowing that you have somebody who can speak the medical lingo, who's advocating for your needs, they're, like almost like a mother, like a sister, like an auntie. That's the biggest benefit that I see to this role, is like you're really showing up for that person in a way that someone who's licensed as a registered nurse can't, legally.
Yeah.
I know.
They can't,
Yeah. So I'd say that's like.
And I feel like just even compared to, I always like a doula is almost like, I'm not even sure, 50 or 100 years ago and before time, that would be like your elders and your family member, those females who went through the birth with you, who experienced and didn't know how to support you either physically or emotionally.
Yeah.
But I know, not that I know, but I'm assuming just modern society that we live so far away, and then the distancing or social isolation that we are away from our families and whatnot. And some people just choose not to have their families at birth neither. I think a doula is just the female presence, that fulfills your
absolutely needs. Like I'm there to celebrate you in whatever frame that looks like. And living in Terrace, there is really exactly what you just said. Like it's a lot of families coming here from faraway places for work and lifestyle. And that role of like a deeply loving caregiver may not be readily available. Yeah.
That's very sweet.
Yeah.
The next question I want to ask you is about some of the fears. I know that when you're working with women, either through in any kind of settings, through what you're providing for women and their families, what's the biggest fears you feel like that's a common denominator for fears, either before birth or even after birth, that you're experiencing, that most people kind of
This one I feel like is my like daily dose
conversations.
Because majority of my clients are pregnant in my massage therapy practice, and then working with families closely in my doula practice. It's miscarriage, or stillborn birth is definitely, in my blog on my website, I actually wrote about prenatal anxiety and postpartum anxiety, just because in my experience, this is everybody. Like I don't know if there's a single woman out there that isn't like, how many kicks happened today? Oh, I haven't had any kicks. Like, or I 25% miscarriage rate as it is. And so once you've had that kind of an experience, you're always going to wonder, because you've already had your heart broken in one way or another. So, or your friend has, or, maybe you're already carrying this from your lineage from your mother or your mother's mother. And so it's such a real experience to like the loss of a child in any form. And, the ways that women, prepare themselves and take care of themselves to prevent these things is really beautiful. And I just hope that we can maybe fill in some of those gaps that cause, more severe anxiety to escalate. Because, yeah, I mean, most women have really healthy pregnancies and have really healthy babies. Like, that's the other thing that is in my experience, is that this is like every woman's biggest fear, and also a fraction of the outcome.
Because it's the thing, so they can have a healthy pregnancy, but they through 9 months or so or whatever, they find out like for 7 months, they still, the anxiety sits there through a healthy pregnancy. They shouldn't be like, shadowing their, enjoying their pregnancy. Yeah, I see.
And I liked what you had said about how previously, if say you were living in community with surrounded, wise elders, and that I'm sure there was less of this anxiety because we would have had embedded like stories and myths and legends, and, like, and like we could keep tabs on each other and check in, and, we wouldn't have had the, ultrasound or the medical equipment that would confirm your baby's healthy, but there'd be some other like incredible story or, way that women would be able to maybe sit in meditation and connect with their baby.
Prayers and all that. I know that.
Yeah, ceremonies, like different ways that maybe you could derail the level of anxiety around stillbirth and miscarriage. So
that's so true. I didn't think you're gonna say that. That was the biggest fear. I thought it's gonna be like, labor pain, can I breastfeed, whatever, all these other, like how I'm gonna feel. Can I walk? Can I exercise after? I didn't think that what it's going to be the anxiety of a loss.
Yeah. Well, I would say layered under that, then the next common would be cesarean section. So C-section birth, which is why I've done now extensive training and have another training coming up in November about post C-section scar massage and core rehabilitation. And because, I can't control if somebody ends up with prenatal anxiety or postpartum anxiety. But a gap that I can fill with that is like these deep, relaxing environments. And then if somebody's, worst fear happens to them, I'm there and I'm like, I am completely available to hold space for grief. Like, that's a part of my journey. And I want to embrace that and make women feel like safe and accepted in my care for that too. And for C-section, like, like traumatic C-section first birth, a lot of women choose to have second scheduled C-section. And so I love that, like, today I got to give this woman silicone scar tape and was like, have you tried this? Like, her C-section's coming up in a few weeks, like planned. And I get to like not shame people about having a C-section, but being like, here's all these ways that you can help yourself, and then also come to me and I can help you as well. And even years and years down the line, there's no cap on when we can work on your scar or when we can improve abdominal like activation or breath work or things like that that can really unwind trauma in the system. So that's like a big part of Nurture North is abdominal surgery and rehabbing from that.
That's so cool, because I feel like just even working with parents, like since I've been in healthcare and working with women or families, it's been like 20 something years as a nurse, and then working with, there was never a care for C-section scar besides just look for signs of infection. You can shower whatever days after, you'll have a follow-up with your OBGYN, but I feel like there wasn't much of that physio or OT or whatever for the scar, or or even myself, I never thought of it until, again, just recently, I came up on the education of the C-section scars and the core, restore your cores and that kind of stuff. How, since you become aware of this education knowledge, is it pretty new, or have we just been kind of like not paying attention to it? That's been around for 30 years and nobody's doing it, like all the massages and all that stuff. Has it been around for a long time and I've been just blind to it even, or?
Oh man. Well, so I think it's great that you said that, because even the beginning of the summer, I was talking to a doctor who at the farmer's market, we just bumped into each other, and I ran it by her because this fall I'm starting this, it's called evidence-based course creation. So my plan is to actually like create a course that I can provide to healthcare professionals and women, or birthing people in general, on what they can do and how you can actually like manually work on scars to improve function and reduce pain, all that. But the first thing that this doctor said to me was like, yep, we only learned how to like check for infection, and that was kind of it. Like we tell people to do scar massage, but that's not anything in depth in their training either. So I would say that been zero research on how long it takes for the uterus to heal after cesarean section. And that's because you'd have to open someone back up to see when the uterus is healed, and nobody's going to volunteer to do that. So that's I think a big part of this and why research is lacking here. But the movement to really work on scar tissue and all that, I would say that that's like within, well, it's lost knowledge.
Yes, because I feel like it's actually not even thinking back to like to older Chinese medicine and other things I have used in the past, where they were trying to heal inflammation after I had an ectopic pregnancy, castor oil, hot packs, and then the Chinese medicine to heal the scar tissue. So it's been around for probably like hundreds and thousands of years. It's just that lost knowledge that now it's resurfacing, with everything together.
Yeah. And now we're in this like kind of funny modern era where research is just proving what ancient knowledge has always known, and it's
doing it for so long and nobody questioned it until now.
Yeah, exactly. Totally. So I think that my mission around this is really showing people that there is another way to heal. And there's a lot of professionals. That's the other thing about my website, the directory on there.
I was going to say, I don't know if I messaged you. I was going to message you when I first looked it on over. Did I message you about it? No, I don't know if I did, but I liked it and I was like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. So thank you so much.
Oh yeah.
You touch base on everything. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's so many people.
So many people don't even know, like there's like 32, like probably 50 different practitioners and support people. We have all kinds of ways in Terrace area that people might not even know they exist. So
exactly.
It's a beautiful compilation for sure.
Yeah. So people are really supported here, but they need the information. So that's like a part of us doing, this chat right now is like, how can we get this information out there? Because no one should suffer in silence. We may have lost like ancient community ways of caring for each other, but we're trying to get back there, know? And so, like knowing that there's people like me out there that, want to help you reconnect to your scar and reconnect to your, like the areas of your body that are numb, that want to educate you about female body literacy and create these connections so that you don't feel like, this is your existence. Like, I really want people to feel embodied, as a way to heal, and that is the lasting wellness is, body literacy. So
and I love that you just touched base. I was going to ask you about what's the female body literacy is, and it's so nice you touching bases, because even when you showed this done as a mom and as a female person, even birthing and after birth and the pains and the aches and whatever, you really and I can say it's probably majority of them go dissociates. Like I definitely dissociate with my body where there was pains or aches or dysfunction on my pelvic floor, whatever. For decades, I just dissociate because it was painful and I didn't know how to get either proper help or who to reach out, like 10, 15 years ago. So I just like, okay, I'm just me, and then this part here is will just it's a separate thing, and it's not. And it took me, I think, until the last 5 years when I came up with when I find the Restore Your Core too, where through Lauren's program, you're just really reconnecting the body and mind, and it's okay to start, feeling all these female body parts that you own and not be ashamed of it or not be whatever. And it's just insane, because I'm assuming most women, maybe not very speaking, I think we're gonna break that, but I think especially just for my mom, there was no speak of the body, there was no speak of the healing or how you should take care of yourself or honor it or connect it. It was just like, yep, we're not going to talk about it, we're just going to keep going. So it's so beautiful that you bring back that body literacy for women.
Yeah, I have really loved watching your journey. It's been really inspiring, and like, same thread as my journey. So I'm really proud of you. And I'm really, I think you worded that perfectly, because it is isolating to have a female body a lot of the time. You are often a victim to, whether it's like medical violence or family violence. There's like a lot that you become exposed to and vulnerable to when you're not taught how to protect your body, how to treat your body, the worth of your body. Like, all of these things are so important. And for whatever reason, hundreds of years of patriarchy, we're only now starting to reclaim it. And and it really starts with that, embodiment.
Yeah. And I think for me too, just having the 3 girls, like, just when I start researching and learning about my body or my connection to my whole body and to Restore Your Core and my female body parts, it was really motivating me to think my daughters will be at some point me. And I want them to that mindset that I didn't get from my parents or my mom or my grandma, that I can pass to my girls, that hopefully will pass on to the generations of that new body literacy and the connection and the no shame, and it's okay to feel whatever that is going on. Yeah.
It's so true. I know, like, often I have conversations with women and they'll be crying and they're like, I'm not even sure why I'm crying. Like, this doesn't even feel like my pain. This feels like my mother's mother's pain, And so we also have to work through healing that. And then with the new generation of girls growing into women, like, what an incredible opportunity to kind of like break down those layers of shame and just like embrace the power, and it's a journey for all of us. And it's not a linear journey either, so it could get messy, but but as long as we're always trying and creating a positive narrative around it.
No, that's so cool. But any advice to people who are expecting or planning to have a baby for their journey to, any advice, or what would be that takeaway? Like, maybe, I mean, there's probably lots, but what would the main takeaway that's so easy for them just to hang on to and carry them through? I don't know, it's probably a lot, but
like, I really love that question, because I feel like now, like, having spent the last 4 years like intensely studying fertility, pregnancy, birth, postpartum, I feel like I'm now at this like phase where, in my opinion, the most important thing is actually investing in your relationships. So
because it's your base, that's your foundation for everything.
Like, whether that's a husband, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a mom, an auntie, like, whoever your main support person is going to be, I'll just, like, for me, it's my husband, and, invest in that. Go to the couples counseling, spend your time making sure that that is solid, because you can get through anything if you and your partner are on the same page, and able to really, help each other when the other one's crumbling. You can be a rock, and vice versa, because it's so much research shows now that your baby is incredibly resilient and also 100% dependent on your ability to regulate and stay healthy. So you need someone to be there for you to help you stay healthy. And yeah, there's a great quote by the Buddha, and it's pain is inevitable, suffering is a choice. So birth, inevitably painful, you know, suffering in that process. The scientific definition of suffering is the rejection of reality. Mm-hmm. So whether or not your expectations happen in any process, like from fertility to postpartum to, you know, mothering adult children, if you can be present with the reality of what is happening, you will not suffer. You know, if you're able to accept that, and that's a really hard thing to do. Mm-hmm. But if you have a support system who's there with you in the trenches, and who can say like, this is our reality, our expectations didn't happen, but like, how are we gonna move forward mm-hmm. from here? You'll be okay, mm-hmm. you know, through any period of your life. That's like, yeah, the biggest thing I'm working on.
No, I love that so much. I don't know what you want to say. I know I already knew that like a lot of people shouldn't be, you know, like we should work on anxiety when we going into the like fertility or being pregnant. But I didn't think you're gonna say that, but it totally makes sense because I know that totally applies to my life in every way. So, and yeah, that's so beautiful, because sometimes too, what I, you know, when I supporting parents either through breastfeeding or postpartum or newborns, we're always trying to fix a problem. We're always trying to do something. But when you have a strong core, you know, you can work through anything. It's whatever that's going to be, like whatever it's going to be, breastfeeding or bottle feeding or formula feeding or whatever we're going to do at the end. I always tell parents, you know, it's, you know, your love for your child, the love from your child to you will never stop. Doesn't matter what this feeding plan is going to look like at the end. You know, it's just your love or your connection is the most important thing in all, you know, at the end.
Yeah.
And we can nitpick at so many things, what we want to fix or we want to work on with families or newborns. But that's so true that, you know, it's through the lifespan, it's that connection that will carry you through, you know, strong foundation. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. It's so good. Such a good reminder. Thank you.
Oh yeah. I mean,
it's so true, you know?
Yeah.
Because you can give people all kinds of tools for pain at birthing, or, you know, what's going to happen, or how are we going to, you know, latch in the first hour, and we, you know, gonna be using this, and we're not gonna be using this kind of, you know, ointment, and we're only gonna use cloth diapers, and, you know, I have all kinds of things to get my first one, you know, and just things. But if and then when things change, it's just your core will kind of get to you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's like a great point. Yeah, this is Michael Singer is like another kind of mindfulness teacher that I think is amazing, and he says this example, which I think is like what you're describing there. You know, we decide we hate snakes. Every time we see a snake, we have a bad day, and we're like, you know, but we love butterflies, and we're like, oh, I love that butterfly so much. Well, the butterfly is going to come and the butterfly is going to go. So you're going to suffer because the butterfly flew away, you know? So this like gripping onto an expectation is rejecting reality.
It is. And then going back to the Buddha, that just accept.
Yeah. So
if you can just work on that. I mean, I know it sounds so easy, and I know it's so hard, because I feel like too, again, this is one of my big speeches I do, again, when I work with families or when I talk to people about even what I do. It's just that in modern society, again, just like right now, I keep telling people it is the hardest time to parent, and then probably same applies to many other things of the lifespan, because there's so much information, there's so much loud noise, there's so much chitter chatter going on. So one thing I always tell parents, just to try to shut the chitter chatter down, stop TikToking, stop not, you know, but stop listening to all these things, what everybody's doing, and just, you know, take one day at a time, what feels right in your heart with your partner. And you'll go home and you decide, yes, I'm going to co-sleep. No, I'm not going to co-sleep. Yes, I'm going to use this item. And just comes back to you too, who decides what you're going to do, and stop that chatter. But it's very hard, because if you're already so involved, you have a bigger family and everybody's have a peace of mind that they're going to tell you what to do. It's super hard right now. And again, I think just to the technology and to social media, there's so much extra chatter in your mind that you think the expectations, how it should go.
And you have this like tool that's like a comparison all the time. And you're right. It's a super challenging time to be a parent. And I think that's why we see more and more people choosing to not have kids, you know, amongst the trauma, amongst the financial world. Like it's, it's a really interesting time to have to go back to these reflections of the Buddha, you know, or learn from ancient traditions and things like that. Like those kind of teachings are maybe more important now than they ever have been because of the direction that we're being so quickly pulled into.
So for last, Nicole, I want to say thank you so much for coming on my show or my interview. And would you tell our viewers how they can get a hold of you, your availability, and yes, how they can find you?
Yeah. The best way to find me is on my website. So that is nurturenorthco.ca. And from there, you can find my email contact, my social media, and read along. There's blog postings. You can kind of keep up to date with me through that. I'm also going to be sending out a newsletter for people who are interested in taking courses that I'll be offering in 2026.
That's so exciting. That's so exciting. And thank you so much, Nicole. And you're so amazing.
Thank you.
And what we'll do is we'll try to plan for another podcast where we can get a bit of bits and pieces of what Nicole does.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.